Hey, what's up, YouTube? What's up? How you guys doing today? Today is what, Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, no, today's Thursday. Today's Wednesday, right? I'm gonna forget I work so much, I even forget the days. But anyway, yep, today's Wednesday. Nope, today's Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Anyway, so welcome to the King Geo Show. So, as you know, I've been doing a little bit of bits behind the scenes of the Mets and all that. And I was just reading before I got here to do the live. I saw that Scott Boras says that the Mets that Scott Boras is talking to one of the team, that they talked to the team today, and that was done by Mr. Hanksman. You know, the one he reports always. He's always on Twitter. So he reported that today that the Mets did that Scott Boras did talk to a team today. That could be the Twins. Who knows? It could be the Twins. But this saga just keeps continuing. Just now, hey, Happy New Year to Avail. Just yesterday, remember that the Devers signed an extension for $17 million. So just yesterday, Devers sold. I mean, Devers signed for $313 million. So by him signing that, I mean, that goes the idea of the Mets getting him next year if they don't sign Correa this year. So that's out the window. I mean, you got Machado. Machado's going to opt out. Machado's going to be a free agent next year. Would you want to have a Machado on your team? As good as a third baseman that he is, he's just too lazy on the field. But the saga continues on the Mets. Why it's taking so long? We all know why. Anyone that knows anything about baseball, we all know that the New York Mets, a.k.a. Stephen A. Cohen, wants to protect himself. He wants to make sure that he's going to get something. You know, that you don't want to spend. I mean, I was just reading that Scott Boras, when he did the same thing with J.D. Martinez, and they opted the Red Sox. They gave the Red Sox the option to opt out in 2 years after. I mean, the last 2 years if he did get hurt, but Martinez didn't have any problems with his feet, and he lasted the whole 5 years until he went to free agency this year. So, is it more than that? Because you're talking about $313 million. $313 million, that's a lot of money. $315 million. You know, my nephew put down to give him a shorter deal at 5 years at $133 million. He's not going to do that. No shortstop, no player. I mean, Nemo took that because no shortstop of Carlos Correa's caliber is going to take $133 million for 5 years. He's not going to do that. You know, you gave DeGrom more money than that. DeGrom, and he's just a pitcher that plays every 5 years. I mean, every 5 days, compared to Carlos Correa, he plays every day. So that's not a good deal. It's a good thought, but it's not a good deal. So where do we go from here? I mean, everything has been signed when it's come down to Correa. The Mets hasn't said anything. You know, I guess Cohen's not saying anything for a simple reason because of what he said before he put his foot in the mouth. And the Major League Baseball has told owners not to talk about deals that you have not made yet for that same reason. The Giants try to get back into the game, but I guess Scott Boras' team said no. I mean, there's not too. Even though they said that Scott Boras spoke to a team today, I'm going to go under the assumption that the only team that's going to give money to Correa the way money was, besides the Mets, it's going to be the Twins, because the Twins know this guy's record. And I did see, and that could be a possibility. One never knows. But I was watching MLB baseball the other day, and I saw in the morning how one of the commentators, I think it was Jim Thome, said that he wouldn't be surprised if Correa went to Baltimore, because Baltimore knows him. Baltimore knows everything about Carlos Correa, and he would be a great fit because he'd be the face of that franchise. Baltimore has been said to be playing good this year. I mean, last year they played pretty good towards the end. You can't front on that, you know. So could it be possible? Could it be a possibility that Correa could land up in Baltimore? Baltimore says, you know what? We're going to give you the $315 million. We're going to give you the 12 years and screw. You know, because these owners cry wolf that they don't have money, and but they do have money. They just don't want to spend their money on big time ball players. They just don't want to spend the money. I mean, they say to themselves, teams like Cleveland, teams like the Guardians and all that can make it to the playoffs and their payrolls are not that great, that big, so can we. So can we. That's their thinking. That's their thinking. The Pirates hasn't made the playoffs in years. Milwaukee Brewers hasn't made the playoffs in years. Colorado Rockies, they just haven't. I mean, Arizona Diamondbacks, and the teams with the big payroll, the Mets, right? Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco, they didn't make it to the World Series. So it just proves to you that money does not take everything. The Dodgers won 100 and some odd games and they still fell short. They still fell short. Why? Because that's the way baseball is. Just because you have the biggest doesn't mean you're the best. And paper-wise, yes, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty to hit that ball 90 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour, it's kind of hard, bro. It's not easy. So you can have the Lou Gehrig's and the Mickey Mantles and the Babe Ruth and the Roberto Clementes that you want in your team, but that's not going to guarantee you success. It's going to guarantee you some good wins, but it doesn't mean you're going to make it to the playoffs. That doesn't mean that from the playoffs you're going to jump to the World Series. That does not guarantee that. Steve Cohen wants to win? Yes, he does. Is he willing to go all out? Yes, he does. But with the career thing, he's doing it with cautious. He's being cautious. I mean, to him, we say $313 million is nothing. But you got to make sure I'll lose. Okay, you can say, I'll lose the money. But I want to make sure that if I lose it, I'll lose it and get something good. I believe if Carrera and company can give Steve Cohen 1 or 2 wins, 1 or 2 World Series, he'll take that. He'll take that because trust me, I don't think that Stephen Cohen is going to keep the Mets for 10, 20 years. No. For him, I believe that this is just a toy for him. He's going to build up the Mets franchise. He's going to build up its capital. It's going to build up its worth. And when he can suck everything that he can and still leave the integrity and the beautifulness of baseball with the Mets, he'll sell. Because that's what it is to him. This is just a business. When he gets what he wants, because he's not going to be like George Steinbrenner. He's not going to keep it in the family. He doesn't look like he's that type of person. He got billions of dollars worth of art, guys, art. So I think to me, he's just going to keep the team for a while, make the best out of it. Because he did say that in 5 years he's going to have a world championship. So if he can get 1, 2, 3, even 3, I can think if he can get 3 World Series in his time, and get the Mets value up, he will sell. He will sell. Other teams can do the same thing as Steve Cohen can. They're no louches. Because, think about it. Steve Cohen's not giving Correa $313 million in one shot. That's throughout the year. And look at all these players who have retired and they're still getting severance pay. They're still getting back pay. Bonilla is one of them. There's a whole bunch of them. Joe Mauer is getting paid for his services. I think he retired. He's making $9 million per year now that they got to give to him. I think was it him? I think it was a White Sox player. No, not Joe Mauer. But anyway, so that's what the career camp is wanting. I think we want to give me some guarantee. Because if you get guaranteed money, I don't care what you do. Give me I'll stipulate. You don't want the football, but give me a guarantee. Give me a guarantee of $40-50 million. Means that once I sign that piece of paper, I'm getting guaranteed $40 million right off the bat. Not even with not a first pitch, not a first at bat, nothing. Just tying my shoes and that's it. And I got $40 million in my bank. And then I think that will probably entice you to say, okay, well, we could do that. Because shit, they gave look at this. This is I don't think they gave Verlander $40 million. Hey, what's up, Bruce? They gave Verlander $40 million. Verlander's a 40-year-old. 40-year-old. They gave Max Scherzer 100 and some odd million for 3 years. Another one going to be 40 years old. These 2 men, haven't even reached 100 wins yet. 100. And Verlander didn't come to New York. Verlander came to New York because, $40 million per year for 2 years. That's good money. That's $80 million, bro. And Verlander, I mean that was Verlander, and then Scherzer, 100 and some odd million for 3 years. Who's not gonna come? My arms can go. Oh, I still pitch. I'll try. Yo, cortisone me up. Give me some prednisone, and I'm good. So you give these pitches, which I would have never given Scherzer that much money. I wouldn't give him. I wouldn't even give Verlander that money. But you had to get a pitcher because you already gave up on DeGrom. DeGrom, a few years back, I said to people, the Mets, when there was DeGrom and Thor, I said the Mets should get rid of DeGrom and get pitching in return. Get good hitting, good young pitching that they are Major League Baseball already. They didn't do it. And the one thing that I did not like about DeGrom when he left, he had the audacity to go when he went to Texas and to say that one of the things that he liked about Texas, that Texas was building a team, that Texas was building a championship. So what were the Mets doing? The Mets are building a championship. You're mad because they didn't give you the money, and that was more towards his wife than anything else. And DeGrom won two Cy Young. DeGrom never won 20 games because the Mets just didn't hit when DeGrom was playing. Hey, what's up, John B? Yo, John B, you say Correa's not coming to the Mets, but that's okay because you know what? Even if Correa doesn't come to the Mets, we still won 101 games without him. Okay, you can put Beatty at third base and let that kid flourish. See what comes out of Beatty. See what comes out of him. You never know what this kid can do. Escobar is not that great as a third baseman. I don't like Escobar at third base. Escobar's a better. He better off playing second base. But Escobar don't got the arm. Doesn't have the arm. Doesn't have the range. If you see Escobar play third base, you know how many hits he's let go to the third base because he does not play the line. Yeah, pitching wins championships, but so does hitting. So if you could be up 5 or 6 runs, you're good. Then your pitching can slow down. But what I'm trying to say, John, defense wins game. But these guys are in the 40s, bro. Are in the 40s. And then you give 100 and some odd millions to the Chinese, to Kenya, not knowing how is he going to play. You don't know if he's going to flourish. But hey, it's not my money. Escobar can move tons of coke. Come on, man. No need for that. We're talking about baseball, bro. It's in a comedy club. So yeah. So you guys don't know. You guys have seen players play now, but if you guys ever seen Craig, if you guys ever seen Craig Nettles play third base, Craig Nettles from the New York Yankees back in the 70s and 80s played in, and I'm not even a Yankees fan. I've seen this guy play. He played an awesome third base. Brooke Robinson played an awesome third base. All right. Robin Ventura played a good, awesome third base. Yount played a good third base. George Brett played a good third base. Mike Schmidt played a good third base. I moved out of New York because New York just wasn't in me anymore. I'm a diehard Mets fan. I don't have to live all my life in New York, John. I'm content where I'm at now. I'm content with the decisions that I've made. I'm a New Yorker for life. That's definitely. Just because I was born and raised doesn't mean not everybody. Just because you live in New York, you were raised in New York, doesn't mean you have to spend the rest of your life in New York. There's a world out there. I used to live in Queens for a while. I lived in 74th. I used to live by 82nd in Corona on 74th Street. I used to get off on 74th Street and walking from 74th Street in Roosevelt, walking towards the park just by the LaGuardia Airport. There was a deli. I forgot the name of the deli. I was maybe 10 minutes away from the airport on bus. So think about it. So anyway, John, you never said why Correa is not coming to New York. I mean, he would love to play third base with Lindor. That would be a beast of an infield. Okay, you got Lindor, you got Correa third, McNeil is a good second baseman, and Pete Alonso is getting there. No, way before Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium is by Willits Boulevard, and you got Alonso. That Alonso is getting good at first base. Yeah, but John B. Correa has a bad leg. Yeah, but that leg hasn't sidelined him at all. I mean, you say 12 years, I say 12 years, but who's gonna opt out? Look, Mike Trout. Look at the years they gave Mike Trout. You think Mike Trout's gonna last 15 years or whatever it is in Los Angeles? No. Did Mike Stanton last in Miami when they gave him that contract? No. He's doing it with the Yankees because the Yankees got the money for it, and the Florida Marlins at the beginning started paying towards that contract. But you're not gonna last. You're not gonna last 12 years in a team. You're gonna keep it. Look. One of the most dumbest players that the Mets ever did was bringing back Robinson Cano. Robinson Cano went for 12 years, $250 million. He took it with Seattle, and then when Van Wagenen became the general manager for the Mets, he brought him and Edwin Diaz back. He brought Edwin Diaz and Cano, but he only brought Cano because Cano's his buddy, because he knows Cano. He's his agent, so he told him, "Yo, you know what? Get me out of New York. Get me out of here. Tell me some other. What team is going to pay a 36-year-old, 37 years old, $25 million? They still owed him $100 million from his contract. So why would you take that risk?" Oh, yes, he was the worst. He was the worst general manager we ever had. Yeah, Bruce, but those long-term contracts is what players are seeking. But what I'm trying to say is that these players don't last that long with their teams. They don't last 15 years with their team. They don't last 17 years with their teams. I mean, Pujols lasted basically all his career with the Cardinals. Molina lasted all these, but Molina never got a contract that big. He got his millions, but was sporadically. Yes, I think Omar Minaya is gonna. I don't know if he's the GM for, because Cashman is the GM for the Yankees, but he signed with Omar Minaya. Did sign with the Mets, and when Omar Minaya was with the Mets, Omar Minaya did a lot of good plays. He brought in a lot of good players. Pujols was horrible at the end of his 10-year deal. Hey, you get old, bro. People get old. You know, people don't get younger, bro. The game of baseball, when you play every day, your bones wear out. You know, your arms get weak. It's not everything. He's not a baby. He wasn't a baby after that. You know, but I think we're gonna get Correa. And like I said, even if we don't get Correa, we still got Beatty. I like Beatty. I like that he's tall. He's got to get a little bit of weight, but he's a natural third baseman, and he's only 20-something years old. We need to start getting young, bro, because we got old people in our team. I personally, I would have never given Nemo that contract. As good as Nemo is as a hitter, he's just defensively in the outfield. He's not what I would want as an outfielder. Yeah, of course. You know, that's something that I will have. That's something that I wouldn't have at my outfielder. Nemo, Braxton was good. You have other players that could reach the outfield better than Nemo. But the good thing that Nemo has a good eye. And if you can get someone, if Lindor didn't strike out so much, that would have been a nice two combination, Nemo Lindor. But Lindor strikes out too many times. So then you gotta depend on your third baseman. And then you got but they got Marte. Marte's the second batter. So that's a good combo. Nemo and Marte. And then you got Lindor. And then you got Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso strikes out way too many times. Pete Alonso swings at way too many balls. Yeah, I know Mike Trout had serious back issues, but he's making their money. Look at the money they gave this guy. Anyway, Bryce Harper. Now Bryce Harper won't be back until July. No, I didn't get to play. I didn't get to play baseball in high school because my high school, my high school, they had a baseball team, but they weren't the best baseball team. But I tell you one thing though, I was the fastest. Let me tell you one thing though. I went to try for my baseball team for my varsity, and and then they had this guy. He ran from home to first base in 3.6 and 3.5, and I ran to first base and from home to first base in 4.0 and 4.1. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So what I did during the wintertime, because I'm from the Bronx, I was on 174th and Vice. So what I did during the wintertime, I used to run barefooted from 174th Street and Vice Avenue to 173rd. I started slow, and then I pick up pace. Nah, I didn't go to John Brown High School, and I picked up pace, and then I kept running. Now, when the semester came, when spring came to try out for baseball, I just wanted to try out for the running, and I ran from 0 to first at 3.8 and then 3.6, and that's quick. Nope, I would never go to that. I would have never gone to Lehman High School. The first high school I went to was James Monroe High School. That was for my zoning school because I was going to go to Bronx High School of Science. And then when there was room for me, that you have to take an exam to go to Bronx High School of Science. And then I went to Bronx High School of Science. And then we didn't have a great baseball team. So there's no point in playing baseball. Pups Egg 13, shout out from Watts, California. All right, what's up? What's up, John B? Bobby Bonilla went to Lehman High School. No wonder he's not that bright. Let's give a shout out to PupX13, California. See, everybody's saying about Bobby Bonilla Day, but Bobby Bonilla's getting paid $1 million a year. That's deferred payments. The Mets didn't have that money back then, so we're going to defer it to you. Not a bad deal. Get paid $1 million every year to do nothing. Yeah, back in the days, Monroe, but I wasn't there for baseball. They had a good football team, but my thing was I like more science. That was what appeased me the most. I like studying better than I did playing baseball. I love baseball though. Yeah, he's still getting paid 30 years later because of the deferred payment, and he's not the only player. If you look at players, there's a lot of players who've retired and are getting deferred payments. I just saw one from the White Sox. I forgot his name just today. He's getting paid $9 million this year until 2035, and he retired. I think it was last year, something like that. Mike Tuco in New York baseball legendary coach put Monroe. But I saw all the trophies from Monroe, but Monroe was only in my zoning school until Bronx High School of Science had they made a mistake that they put extra people in there, and I passed my test to go to Bronx High School of Science, and I was supposed to go there, but when it came to the first day, we couldn't go because I couldn't go because there wasn't room. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I ended up going to Bronx High School of Science. I was a great stealer. I didn't have the arm to be outfielder. I had good speed, and I turned myself from an outfielder to a first baseman, and then I taught myself how to bat left and right. So I became a switch hitter on my own. I can catch and throw left. It's the same way. I just can't throw that good left-handed as I can right-handed. Bronx High School of Science is for nerd, bro. Bronx High School of Science, Stuyvesant High School, Manhattan Tech, Bed-Stuy, Stuyvesant, not Stevenson, Stuyvesant High School. I haven't caught a live in a while. Happy New Year. Hey, Happy New Year, Pop X. Happy New Year, buddy. I'm going to start doing my lives, though, so we can do lives where we can be on here. So John B says Correa's not going to be a Met because of his leg. I say he's going to be a Met. I think the deal is going to be structured in such a way that language towards the leg is going to be there. Do you think that Steve Cohen's going to let that get away? He's going to let Correa go? That man's ego is bigger than his head. He's not going to let that go. He's not going to let Correa go. No way. He's going to keep that. A lot of famous people went to Bronx High School sign. Kid and Play went to Bronx High School sign. I went to Bronx High School sign with John Cryer from Two and a Half Men was there. Different years. So you think Stephen Cole is not going to bring him? Of course he is. Like George Steinbrenner, whatever George Steinbrenner wanted, George Steinbrenner got. Nah, you think Cano went to Seattle and Cano wasn't happy. And look how many years Cano went to Seattle and he didn't win anything with Seattle. And the Cubs are just reassuring. And he's not going to go with the Cubs because the Cubs signed Swanson. He's not going to play third base for the Cubs. He'll play third base for the Mets because if you look at Correa, if you look at any of the videos that Correa did in the World Baseball Classic, he was good. He played good third base. Look, it is what it is. That's what Carlos Correa wants. He wants big money. He wants the money from the trial. He wants that 12-year contract. That's what he wants. I mean, if I were him, I'll do these little rinky deals that he does. 3 years here, 3 years there. What? He got $100 million from $100 million from the Twins, and he got opted out this first year, and that's what he did. Those are the kind of deals you got to do. Yo, tomorrow isn't promised, bro. So you do 3 years, 4 years, let me get $120, $150 million. Boom, I'm good. I play my ass off here, there, blah, blah, blah. Come another 5 or 6 years, bro, I could do that. But these long-term contract, I don't want to see Carlos Correa 12 years there. It's boring. Then you see other players who's coming up, better players. No. Where are you going to put Justin Turner? I think Justin Turner already signed with another team. I think because Devers, like I said, Devers signed today for $313 million with the Red Sox after he had signed 1 year for 17.1. So that's that right there is gonna now that puts a little bit of pressure on Cohen because you know what? Devers got his money, bro. Devers got his money. Justin is a ginger. The Judge deal will be a nightmare for the Yankees. Of course. Look at Mike Stanton. Mike Stanton is a bust, bro. He's a bust. They're paying him all that money for that big Mongolian guy to do nothing. Yeah, they should. Yeah, the Red Sox should have kept Mookie Betts. I think that was one of their mistakes. They said they want to get rid of other players too. They want to they're willing to give up sales and all that. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Teams, that is true though. These long terms and these contracts, 350 million. They're talking about that Shawnee that Ohtani is going to be the next 500 million man. 500. That's $500 million to throw a ball and to catch a hit. Come on, that's a lot of money. But like Steve Phillips said the other day in Major League Baseball, MLB TV, that he will become a Met. The Mets want him. The Mets are going to get him. Yeah, but Sales, that may be true now. But when Sales came up and Sales was pitching, Sales was a beast. You know who I like too? But betting, but he hasn't. Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich is a great player for the Brewers, but he hasn't been doing anything for 2 years. But he's a great outfielder. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest arm, but he has a good bat, and that's important. Shit, we should bring back Dave Winfield, bro, and Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden. That's what we should bring back. I'm being facetious, guys. Those guys are old. But yeah, but like I said, even if we don't get a career, like I said, we got Batty at third base. You should let Escobar go. He's a bum. He hit 20 home runs last year. Okay, fine. But I don't like the way he plays third base. His third base is too mediocre. He's not guarding that line. He's too small to play that third base. Kevin McReynolds, I used to like Kevin McReynolds. When Kevin McReynolds came over from the Padres, I liked him because he was a quiet guy, with a mediocre bat, and he just hit the ball. You didn't hear anything about Kevin McReynolds. He just bat, and that's it. But he was a quiet guy. I used to like Jay Bruce. Jay Bruce was cool. I like Jay Bruce as an outfielder. He was a quiet when the Mets got him too. I mean, the Mets got good players, but they don't hit. Yes, Kevin McReynolds, yes, he was. When he went over from the Padres, and he went from the Padres, and he went over to the Mets, that was a good signing. It's just a shame that the Mets didn't win anything. I mean, don't you see the Mets get players at the end of the peak, at the end of these people's career? One of the worst signings the Mets ever got was, what was his that Spanish guy Samuel? He let that ball drop. He was a horrible. That was a bad deal. That was a bad deal. I used to go back. I used to remember when the Mets had Lenny Dykstra playing. Lenny Dykstra batted. This was the Mets lineup. Lenny Dykstra, Wally Backman, Keith Hernandez, Darryl Strawberry. I think it was Kevin Mitchell. I know Rafael Santana batted eighth. You had Ray Knight. And the catcher was Gary Carter. Jose Reyes good, but we all look at Jose Reyes, but you know what player was better than Jose Reyes defensively? Ray Ordonez. The only thing about Ray Ordonez is that he could never bat. But the kid was a beast with his arm. He was one of the best with his arm. Better than Jose Reyes. But he just never had that beat, that bat. Could never come out of it. I never said he was good at batting. I said he was great. He's better. He was better. He was better than Jose Reyes playing shortstop. Look, Baez. Baez has a great. I think Baez is one of the best shortstop there is. If Baez can control that bat and not swing at everything, he'll be one of the best. I like him better than Lindor. Lindor, as good as he is, Lindor's arm is not that strong. I seen Lindor go towards right and throw the ball and it bounces. And you see people like Trey Turner and like Ray Ordonez, when the ball wouldn't even bounce, it would just go straight through. Oh, John B, you knew great, right? That's good. Yeah, but I used to like Ordonez because Ordonez also. You like when the Mets had Cedeno. Cedeno was an awesome outfielder. He was a great center fielder. He won a Gold Glove in center field, but his bat sucked. Center fielder is not for people to hit. Center fielder is a defensive position, like shortstop, like catching. But if you get a center fielder that has a bat, that's a good plus, and that's a good thing to have. Just like first base. I think. I'm shocked that Keith Hernandez and Don Manley are not in the Hall of Fame. I know Keith Hernandez. Don Manley played his baseball career was short, but he was a beast. I like the way he played first base for the Yankees. And I'm not a Yankee fan at all. And Harold Baines, they put Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame. Harold Baines, bro. Ain't that a shocker? But it is what it is. Mike Piazza was good as far as speaking. He was a good ambassador for the game. I'm not going to knock that. Was he a good player? As a catcher, he was horrible. He was bad. He was nah, Bruce. He wasn't the greatest, bro. He had no arm. His catching, his catching skill was up to par, but he was a good hitter. What was his batting average? 290 something when he left. That's good for a catcher. Yeah, he sold tickets. If you're gonna talk about good catchers, I mean, you can't compare him with Molina. I mean, Molina won what 12 gold. I mean, gold gloves. That's a lot for a catcher. You gotta let catchers are gonna be good for defensive, and a good catcher calls a good game. And Mike Piazza never called a good game. Thomas Nito for the Mets doesn't call a good game. I mean, you're 3-2, and he goes, "Oh, throw a fastball to a fastball hitter." Really, that's what you're gonna ask for. You can't throw a slider. Fuck it. If he gets a hit, he gets a hit. If he walks, he walks. But the point here that you wanna pitch to him something that he's not expecting. That's what killed us in the Atlanta game, because Atlanta, the ground was always pitching was fastball, fastball. I would say 90% of his pitches were all fastballs. The grown, so they expected them. Nah, if I had to pick up if I had to pick a player of all time for the Mets, I like Keith Hernandez, man. He's my favorite player of the Mets. Him, at second would be Lenny Dykstra and Wally Backman, because those two were the backs of the Mets. Lenny Dykstra would get on base, and Darius and came and he came. Lenny Dykstra would get on base, and he came Wally Backman, boom, bunting him over. And then came your man Keith Hernandez, and then came your Darryl Strawberry, and then came your Gary Carter. You had a strong lineup there. Darryl Strawberry's fault was the drugs, bro. Him and Dwight Gooden. They would have been in the Hall of Fame had they kept themselves clean, because Strawberry and Gooden went to the Yankees and won a World Series. Things that they didn't do with the Mets. So things that they didn't do with the Mets, they win World Series. You leave the Mets, you win a World Series. You come to the Mets, you suck. But the White Gooden was a beast when he first came up. I remember when he first struck out 20 batters. He was awesome. The guy was great, but in those eras, everybody was doing coke. They were saying the team was coked up. And I think that's one of the reasons Keith Hernandez is not in the World Series, because they're doing that, But you have people who are that have done less in baseball, and it hasn't affected baseball like he has. But let me tell you something. Whether you like them or not, Keith Hernandez called that game. Keith Hernandez called the games most of the time. He would tell players where to go. He would tell the pitcher what to pitch. He would tell Gary Carter, "Yo, he's gonna hit that. I'm gonna move here. Just be careful." Blah blah blah. He ran that game. They made him a captain for something, right? Because he ran that game, and that's what you do. One of my favorite players of all time, besides Clemente, but I didn't watch Clemente play, but it was Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn was an all-around player. He would hit, he would steal, but he's known for his hitting. For me, yeah, he smoked cigarettes, but that one thing is that one. No, he really smoked and run away. Everybody smoked back in the days, bro. I used to get on planes, and people were smoking in the planes. And if you're from New York back in the 80s, you were allowed to smoke on the planes. You were allowed to smoke on the train. Stupid as stupid as it may sound, but that's the way it is. So he spit on Kramer, but it doesn't take away from the game. It doesn't take away what he did for the game. The Mets, I'll be honest with you, the Mets wouldn't have won the World Series if it wasn't for Keith Hernandez. Because Keith Hernandez Despite doing the things that he did, he was not the only one that did them, but despite doing the things that he did, he was a good captain. He called a good game. He called the game better than no catcher. And he led. Everybody back then did crack. Everybody back shit. Lawrence Taylor used to play football on crack. I need a guy who sold drugs to Lawrence Taylor. I used to go up on Simpson Avenue and buy crack out there. All right? Camacho used to fight on coke. I mean, back in the 80s, that was the thing, bro. That was the thing. Back in the 80s, everybody was doing drugs. Are you going to fault them for that? No. Did you see him? Did you see him smoke? I didn't see him smoke crack, so that didn't affect me. My main concern was hit the damn ball, catch the damn ball, do what you got to do. Once you do, just do your job. What you do with your own personal life, I don't care what you do. Yeah, he was. They just caught Camacho's killer like a few months ago. You see what happens when Camacho lived in the Bronx, was raised in Manhattan, stayed in the Bronx, did all that shit. Nothing ever happened to him. He goes to Puerto Rico, he hangs out with the wrong crowd, and he gets killed. That's why you gotta be careful who you hang out with. That's why your circle of friends should be this small, bro. This small. You hang out by yourself, you do things by yourself. So one thing my father always told me, always do by yourself, because if you do it by yourself, you're gonna pay for it by yourself. And it's true. If I go rob a bank, I don't gotta worry about no co-defendant. I do this on my own. Yeah, of course he was a legend in the streets of New York, but unfortunately, he hung out with the wrong person in Puerto Rico because that person was being wanted. Puerto Rico is no joke. Puerto Rico is not like before. Puerto Rico, when they used back in the 80s, when they used to shoot you to kill you, they did you. They left everybody, whoever was around you, they left alone. But that's not the way to do it nowadays. Nowadays, you got little kids. They're hiring little kids to do all these crimes, and that's what's happening. And they're shooting everybody up. But that's the way it goes, bro. Well, yeah, but I think Correa's gonna come through, man. Correa's gonna come through. Like I said, if he doesn't, he doesn't. I mean, it'd be good if we could win 10 or 20 more games with Hector. I think it's Hector. Wait. Nah, he would never got shot in New York. Too many people loved him. Ricky Martin is the most feared gangster in Puerto Rico. I mean, it'd be good if we could win 10 or 20 more games with him, because that'll secure his first place. You're funny, John. But like I said, look at the Marlins. The Marlins didn't have a great team, but they won with Ivan Rodriguez. They won with I forgot. But they had their team when the Marlins won their first World Series. And the Marlins, those two World Series that the Marlins won, where they were clinched. I mean, they were wild cards. They never won the division, and they won in such a short span. And they didn't have those great players. They didn't make those, but those were your stand-ins. Those were the people that you had that were playing for the love of the game. Now they're not playing for the love of the game. Now they're playing for the money. Look what Judge did. Judge played San Francisco like a fiddle. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna let San Francisco make me an offer, because that's gonna bring the Yankees to pony up." And that's exactly what it did. The Yankees pony up more money and left San Francisco behind. But Josh Bishop is good. But what I'm saying, but John, what I'm trying to tell you, John, is that you don't need money to win a championship. Just because Steve Cohen could put a $300 million or $400 million team, that does not mean it's going to win the game. That's not going to bring you the championship, because, like I keep saying to people, baseball is a tricky game. You could hit the ball, but you don't know where the ball is going to go. You could be a 400 hitter and go 0 for 20 because the ball's not going your way. You can hit the ball the hardest and it can go to a glove. Anything can happen in the game is baseball because the ball falls where it goes. You don't know where the floor is going to. It's not like basketball that you know that KD is going to score 40 or Garnett or all these great basketball players. They're going to get that 30 point. You know that for a fact. But you can't say the same thing. You can't say that Tony Gwynn's going to hit 4 for 4 every day. No, you can't say that. You can't say Roberto. No, you can't say that. But you go out there, you do your best. You don't swing at dumb pitches. You swing at good pitches, and those pitches, 50-50 chance. They may get a hit, may get a double, may get a triple, may go as far as a home run, or it can get caught. It can get fouled. You can strike out. It's a 50-50. But to sit there and say that this is what you can't because the ball is unpredictable. Wherever the ball lands is unpredictable. So just because Steve Cohen is going to put, who knows, maybe next year, the Pirates was one of the teams that the lowest payroll. They may go to the World Series. Who thought Philadelphia was going to go to the World Series? And look how far they went. They went to the World Series. The Guardians went further than the Mets. And the Mets had a beastly team, but came down to the playoffs. The Grom sucked. Scherzer sucked. And that was it. We couldn't do anything. I'll tell you this much. I would have kept Bassett, and I would have never given Verlander that money because I like Bassett more than I do Verlander. But if Steve Cohen thinks that having Verlander, that having too close to 40 or going to be 40 when he goes pitch for the Mets, and Scherzer's going to be 39. If you think that these two players in their close to their 40s, 140 and one close to it, is going to win you 15 games or more. And remember, the Mets are not, and I repeat, the Mets are not Houston. Okay? The Mets are not Houston. Remember, even though we won 101 games last year, remember that? People, we won 101 games last year, but we also lost a 20-game lead. Remember that. We won 101 games, but we lost a 20-game lead. We had the East for ourselves. How do you let a 20-game lead go by? That is the first time in baseball history. So before we say we have a $300 million team or a $40 million team and my team is great, think about that. The Mets let go of a 20-game lead. That's something to say. And the year before that, before COVID, the same thing happened. Well, it's not a smart move because, well, put it this way: if that's your intent, to win in those 2 years, then yeah, you can go for it. But what about in the long run? You got to think about the long run. You're putting so much emphasis on these kids. I mean, on these 40-year-olds that you're forgetting you got a farm system, a system that you got to grow up. You got to have these chips. So when you get a farm system and you want to negotiate, I can give you a Beatty, I can give you a Mauricio, I can give you an Alvarez for this batter, for that batter. Then you can do that. But if you're not farming these kids and you're going out there getting these old people, then you're gonna neglect your farm system and they're gonna become crap. Buck Showalter is the only manager, the winningest manager in baseball, and yet he has no World Series. How is that? That's like Bills. The Bills went to the Super Bowl 4 times with Jim Kelly. And how many Super Bowls did they win? It's not the winning a single game is nothing. It's the championship that counts, brother. It's the championship that counts. So I mean, people think about Yankees. Yeah, but Yankees been in the system way longer than the Mets. So that's expected. And the Mets came up. The Mets sucked. Things don't take, it doesn't take a year. It takes years to develop teams, years to develop a player. But that's what it is, man. Well, anyway, so if you guys enjoyed my live, I'm going to try to be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm going to try to get back into my lives more often so I can keep in contact with you guys and you guys keep in contact with me. And we can talk baseball. And tomorrow I'm going to put up a live line so you guys can call in and give me your opinion. This is what the show is all about. This is not ESPN, but you can't call ESPN, can you? They don't let you call ESPN. You can't tell Steven, yo, shut up, you talk a lot, bro. Can't do that, but here, you could do that. You could do that in the King Geo show. All right, guys, peace out.